I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
Hello, my fellow neurotics. This is Neuronymous with a new episode. It's gonna be a great episode. But I mentioned a couple days ago that my uncle Malcolm was in hospice, and that was my little tribute. He is also from Liverpool, just as the Beatles were. And I'm gonna miss him greatly. He was one of the kindest, gentlest, most honorable men I've ever met, and I'm truly gonna miss him. He was a huge part of my childhood, and as I mentioned again, it's just very sad how people who are so prevalent in your childhood just fade away as you grow into adulthood. I know that he was a constant fixture in the lives of the rest of his immediate, his family, his immediate family. My love and my support and my thoughts and prayers are with his whole family, his daughters Vicky, Pammy, and Mimi, his granddaughters Greer, Kelly, and Annie. The twins, Ariel, Ishai, and Shimri, and of course, my Aunt Eileen, which is Malcolm's wife. I love you all. I'm sending you all of my thoughts and my prayers, and oh man, it was a tough thing to hear yesterday. I mean, I knew it was inevitable. He was in hospice care. It was going to happen. But that being said, it doesn't make the blow any easier. Could have gone without getting it in the form of a text message. Sorry, Dad, but not to throw you under the bus, but it would have been nice to have gotten an actual phone call about it. But and the fact that I got it in the middle of my work day didn't really help my work performance, but these things happen, and you just never know when things are going to go down. But I hope so, Malcolm. I hope that you are in a better place. You're happy, and you're looking down on us and saying, and saying, I got your nose. My grandpa used to do that, but as I mentioned, my grandpa was kind of a douche, but Uncle Malcolm would do it too, and I always felt love when I was around him. He just love just emanated from him. And I hope that one day, if I have kids and or grandkids, well, there's really no and or about it. I hope if I have kids and grandkids, I'm able to exude as much love and just grace as he had his whole life. I was thinking about things. I always tell at my other job, when I find out that somebody has had tragedy or somebody is going through something tough, I always say, I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. And I always feel like a gigantic asshole, because the thing is, it's a very nice sentiment. But the thing is, do we really, when any of us say that, do we really do that? Do we really go and get on our knees at the end of the night and say, you so-and-so, God, please take care of this person and this person and this person? I know a lot of you do, and and that's great. But the thing is, I'll say that I'm going to do it, and then I forget. But I think part of it is the actual. I think saying that you're going to, put them in their person. It's a debate for me. It's an inner struggle because the thing is, like, I obviously believe in a higher power, but the thing is, the question begs, do I believe in God? And the thing is, I've always had problems with God. Not problems, but I've always had issues because I won't. If I do pray, it's like once every like 2 or 3 years, and it's. I feel like that kid that's been out and down and out, like on drugs, which is kind of goes with my MO, but drugs and he's run away from home and he hasn't been seen in years, and then he comes back, he's standing on the porch. And he's just completely like wrapped in a blanket and like looking at his, scornful father and being like, Dad, I need help. I need money. Like that's how I feel when I pray to God. I feel like that kid who's gone missing for years. Maybe backpacking across Europe. Maybe, like I said, maybe being a runaway and prostituting himself, I don't know, or just living on the streets and then coming back and realizing the error of his ways and coming back and begging for money, or begging to be taken back in and given shelter from the storm, as I talked about with an earlier guest, quoting Bob Dylan. I never really know how to pray. How do you pray? I mean, some people do it on their knees. Other people do it, they just, I don't know if it's just like a lightning quick flash of, hey, I prayed, I did it. But anyway, it's tough. Getting the actual motivation to go and pray for me is hard, because the thing is, and especially in the last few years with all the tragedy and all of the shit that my higher power, I'm not going to call him God anymore at this point because I just refer to him as my higher power. I've been very angry at my higher power because the thing is, like, the adoption failed. We have been able to start a family, and just people that shouldn't have died, have died early or, in the middle of the ocean doing, and, it's hard, it's hard to be comfortable praying to a higher power. I've got a beef with my higher power, and the thing is, I've got to learn to let that go, because the thing is, without my higher power, I may as well just say, just grab a straw and some, and my drug of choice and say, to hell with it. I'm going to try not to say the F word this episode because I just, it doesn't feel right talking about my Uncle Malcolm in the same breath and using the F word, because it isn't, I feel like that just would have not been his way. So I'm going to try and keep things toned down for this episode as far as profanity. I have an amazing guest, as always. She was a writer on Mork and Mindy, and she's was also the creator of a sitcom that I was a huge fan of back in the early 90s. It starred Jamie Lee Curtis and Richard Lewis, called Anything But Love. I've talked to her before. I was doing an article on a movie, article/review for a movie that she wrote the screenplay for. It's on I think it's on Netflix still. It's called Dorfman in Love, and it starts Sarah Rue and Elliot Gould, and she's just she and I have remained in touch, and she's just the sweetest gal you'll ever meet. And and she's we're both Jewish, and we we just had a really deep conversation when I first interviewed her, and it was one of those conversations where I just didn't want to get off the phone with her, and so I don't know if history will repeat itself, but this is going to be a really fun episode, I think. So after all that uh, heavy-handed talk of God and death and pain and all that junk, I'm gonna introduce one of the gals who got us Mork and Mindy, and gave Jamie Lee Curtis and Richard Lewis a sitcom. So with that, I am going to bring out. It's going to be a phone interview because again, she's in Hollywood or in California, Pacific time, what have you. And yeah, I will be dialing her shortly. So enjoy the show. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was kind of panicking for a little while there. Yeah, I know. I've been telling people like I don't know if people have gotten meaner or if like they were mean to begin with and now like in this administration it's just unlocked the shittiness of people. It's like it has a key and it just like put the key in there and it's like, "Oh, I guess I can be a shitty person now." Right. Right, exactly. Although I will say this, I would take about as much money as anybody will give me. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Yeah. 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 It's it, it absolutely. Yeah, I know, and it's literally a rainbow at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we've got people who are of color back, in the office. It's not, it's an amazing thing, and not just that, but I mean, there are people who are, not, you know, who are gay and that are in the office now, and I just think it's awesome. I mean, that speaking as a bisexual person myself. You know, it's really.
I mean, we have lived to see this progress. It's fantastic.
I know it's and you know it's like and I don't know. I just it's good to be back. Yeah. So how have you been? How have you been? How's life? Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, how's life?
Oh, how's life? I thought you said I have a wife.
Yeah, no, no. Well, last time I checked, I do have a wife. This is true.
Life, I mean, I would say personal life is terrific, ever challenging, ever growing, and we're very fortunate. We live in a beautiful part of the world, and Santa Barbara has had its hardship and went through its fire and
Right.
flood, and now we're watching the rest of California go up in flames. But I would say personally, very good, very good.
That's awesome.
But we're always impacted by, how our friends are doing, how our families are doing,
Right.
how the world is doing.
Yeah, my uncle. I had an uncle Malcolm. He was from Liverpool. Huge staple in my childhood and growing just up to my teen years, and he passed away overnight. Like on Wednesday night, going to Thursday, and like yeah, and it really like it's just it boggles my mind how these people just they're so huge in your life, these family members, these people with so much history, and then like as you get older they just drift away, and then you're just like, wait, where did they go? you know and I I just you gotta cling to you gotta keep things going, otherwise because you lose them.
Yes, and I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm just so sorry. And,
Yeah. Well,
it's a huge, part of, I think, it's such a blessing to have ourselves to have a long life.
right.
But, loss is a part of that. And the longer we live, the more loss we're going to have.
Right.
So that's the bittersweet of it.
Yeah. So, so I was telling, I kind of do, I always do an intro before the show, before you and I do the interview. And I was telling my listeners, if I have any listeners, ha 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 ha. Yeah. I said that, that you've written on Mork for Mork and Mindy, right?
Yeah.
And, that was awesome. I love that show. And, and I think Robin Williams was still alive. I think the last time that you and I did that first interview, so many years ago, and it's just, it's, I mean, how, I mean, I know, I tend to dig in a little bit, so I mean, if anything I ask makes you uncomfortable, you just let me know. But I don't know how close you were with him, but I mean, how did that hit you?
I think it hit me the way it hit anyone who loved him, whether
Yeah.
they knew him personally or
Right.
not. It was tragic.
Yeah.
It was tragic, and it felt like this profound light was lost.
Absolutely.
I worked on that show. I was very young and naive
Yeah.
woman. It was my first job in television, and he was so kind and, of course, so hilarious.
Right.
And bigger than life, just bigger than life. The talent was just, the word is overused, but it's awesome. He was awesome in his gift. And Dennis and I were actually traveling, and we got off a plane, landed, I will never forget, we landed in South Africa,
Right.
which was a dream for Dennis to go there. And we were,
Right.
we were just so happy and excited to be living this dream. And the person who picked us up was very sad and somber and said, I don't know if you know this, you've been on the plane, but Robin Williams died. It was so disorienting how, wait a minute,
this has got to be a joke or something. Right.
That's how wide that was, and everyone we met on that trip discussed it.
Right. Yeah.
He touched everybody. He touched everybody, and I think it's very hard for people who perhaps don't know people who either perform comedy or write comedy. I think there's a presumption that people who do that are just eternally happy people.
Yeah, no, we're not.
It's just not the case.
Yeah.
And obviously people suffering, but
yeah.
I think that was especially hard for people. How can someone with so much love, who gives all the time and who's making us laugh, how can that person take their own life?
Right.
It was hard for people to get that. I mean, I understood it because I know the demons that, that are there, that exist for all of us.
Right. Absolutely.
We were all hard hit from that. And unfortunately, we have his film and his stand-up routine.
Yep.
You can go on YouTube and he's with you again. So
yeah, it's just and since last time that we talked, I've done stand up, and almost all of my, I would say, just like what you were saying, like all of my stand up has been mined out of things that have been very painful for me, like our infertility, our inability to have children, our adoption failure, all that stuff, and the thing is, you just because somebody's up on the stage and has a smile, is smiling, a lot of times that smile is because they want to make you feel better because they feel like shit, basically, and and that's not always the case, but, and I'm part of my language, but it's, for me, like, it really, it was, I bombed a couple times, but the thing was, it was like, it flowed out of me, you know what I mean? Like, and I was able to, like, exercise that pain, and the thing is, I didn't really, I didn't really care that I bombed so much as, that I was able to get out what was going on in my life, and just, and that's kind of what this whole podcast is. It's just like, it's to a certain extent, it's almost like a journal, but it's, but I get to interview really awesome people, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, I remember I was just like, when I heard about it, I was just like, no, he's the genie. Like, the first thought in my head was like, he's the genie from Aladdin. He can't be dead, like, and that just, it was weird, like, because that was really my first, like, impression, my first go around with, seeing, how quick he was, and how his stylings, and, but, yeah, so, but then, it was just such a tragedy, and I was really hoping, I know this sounds weird, at the Oscars, they always do the In Memoriam, and I was just very, very shocked that usually they do, like, the last person that made the most impact on film, like, and I was really shocked that Robin Williams wasn't the last person that they put on there, and I was like, huh. I think it was Mike Nichols that they put on there as the last person. But, every one of those people that are, when they do the In Memoriam at the Oscars, are important. They did, they all had a role to play in getting us to where we're at now, as far as, film and television. But speaking of television, I was also mentioning that you created Anything But Love, right? Yeah, no, that was, honestly, I actually, for some reason, I always have that theme song in my head. It's like, I actually remember the theme song to the show.
Yeah, J.D. Souther is just a national treasure. We were so fortunate to have J.D. compose the whole song.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the thrills for me personally, was when he played it for our staff and Jamie and I, and it was
Sure.
because it was it's a haunting. It's not necessarily ha, let's joke around.
Yeah.
That too.
It's got a bit of it's got a kind of it's gonna be a funny show, but it's like got a little bit of poignance to it, like and I just that was again that was my first introduction to Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that were like, their first introduction was Halloween and stuff like that, but for me, it was Anything But Love. And so I've had like a lifelong crush on Jamie Lee Curtis, and so when people are talking to me about Halloween, I'm like, no, she was in Anything But Love, and like they're like, and
a lot more people know Halloween.
yeah, I know, and I think she's doing pretty well. I think I think she did pretty well for herself with that. Yeah. Do you ever stay in touch with like the cast, or like Jamie Lee Curtis and Richard Lewis?
No, I don't. I tend to stay. I stay in touch, very close touch with. Believe it or not, my first staff job was Mork and Mindy a
Yeah.
billion years ago, and we still meet. The Mork and Mindy writing staff. We still meet. We have lunch a couple times a year, and
That's
you
so
can
cool.
imagine the laughter at that table. I stay in touch with, and I am the only woman at the table, I will say, which was pretty much the way it was then. But I stay in touch with them. I stay in touch with a few people that I've worked with who are very dear to me, like Lee School, who bless them, my film, an indie film I wrote called Dorfman and Love.
Oh, I love that movie.
One of the great human beings of the planet.
Yeah.
And I stay in touch, very much stay in touch with people I have worked with in the theater.
Yeah.
But there's something about that where you quickly become a family, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you just bond so quickly, and it's over so quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty much in touch with all those theater folks.
Yeah, and I minored in theater, so yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I still, like I mean, everybody's Facebook friends with everybody, but like, like I, when you're doing the theater, you become like a family, and to a certain extent, like these people, like because it's such a everything's got to be in place, and everybody has their place, and I just remember like that. I don't know, like I mean it was really funny. One of my first guests on this show was Rachel Schukert, and I don't know if you know who she is, but she and I were like in a musical called The Odd Potato, like at the Jewish Community Center in Omaha, Nebraska, and now she's like one of the writers for the show Glow on Netflix. So yeah, she's done a few memoirs, but like the thing is, like when you're in theater, you don't forget those people, like because it's such like it's such a weird like little world that like the sets are built up around you, and you kind of are stuck with these people, and when I say stuck in a good way, and yeah, they become family. But yeah, no, I felt really bad because I know you were doing the theater production in Minneapolis, and we never really crossed paths. And I was telling my wife and I, we don't get out very much. We're like total homebodies. Yeah, like
we all do what we can. We show up when we can.
Yeah.
I would have liked to share it with you, and hopefully there'll be something else to share.
Absolutely. So
I completely understand. We all have our lives. We're all busy. We're all committed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think I feel really blessed, and I'm not trying to like kiss up or anything like that, because you know me, I'm pretty real. Like I feel really blessed that like we had that connection that first time that we talked, and you're not just like a guest host to me, like while we're talking here, like where I feel like I'm talking to a friend. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I remember that connection, and I always, I mean, I just told you in my heart, and I know your journey because I'm on Facebook, and thankfully I get to follow you and be a part of it.
yeah.
But that was a very important time in your life. It was a transformation time in your life when we first got connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was still pretty, my as one would say, my wobbly horsey legs as far as being like, in sobriety, and and there've been a lot of developments in my personal life. On Facebook I came out as bisexual, and I actually it's a really funny thing. I mean, which is it shouldn't, you'd think that shouldn't be like a huge deal, but it was for me because I've been I was squashing it for years. And and I asked my wife, who's known for a long time, I said, can I put are you okay, can we do this can I do this on Facebook? And and I was really scared because my wife's family kind of errs on the more conservative side, not like my parents, who are, sorry, kind of, I hate saying that they're Trump supporters, but but we won't go there. We will gently eschew that topic. But no, and it's just, everybody was just so, when I came out like that, everybody on Facebook was just so supportive, and I was expecting people to be like, you don't know what you're talking about, blah 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 blah, which is what I kind of got a lot of my life, when I was trying to figure out who I was, and you were in, and like I remember you, were one of those supporters, and and that's the thing, like, I don't forget about that stuff, like you know, people, I people are always saying, like, oh, congratulations and stuff like that, but like, I always feel, Wendy, like when you send something, like, it's not like you're not just saying it like, oh, just to say it. I was in my introduction, like, I was talking about, like, when you say, like, hey, you're in my thoughts and prayers. So many people throw that around, and and that kind of thing. And but like, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to mean it, and own it, and live it. And the thing is, that's what I've always liked about you, is that you keep it 100 all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and I can feel your aura and your love. And this is getting really corny, and like, I feel like it's getting corny, but you get what I'm saying, I hope.
Oh, of course I do. And look, I think we do the same thing. We're basically here trying to figure it out and trying to express truth and authenticity of who we are.
Yeah.
And that's a process for life.
Absolutely.
And, your time in stand-up was a time to explore, is this my place? And it was then. And I don't believe that people bomb on stage. Because it's all learning.
Yeah.
It's like you don't go to school and bomb,
Right, yeah. You may leave, but you don't bomb.
You have the freedom to go down an alley where the audience is like scratching their head. They don't get it.
Right.
That's how you learn.
Right.
That's how you learn to communicate.
Yeah.
That's how I learned to communicate with audiences. We had in television, we had run-throughs, and
yeah.
We would see what worked, we would see what didn't, but it wasn't within the paradigm of failure.
Right.
It was in it's process.
Yeah.
It's just process. So constant learning, and now with your podcast, this is just another part of your learning and your process. And I think it's a wonderful place for you. You can, there's something very safe in a one-to-one conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That doesn't exist necessarily when you're up there talking to an audience that may be inebriated.
Right. Well, yeah. Right, yeah. No, and that's, and that's, yeah, exactly. Like, the thing I like I learned very quickly with it. I mean, I started this whole podcast thing October 9th. I've driven my wife like crazy with it, but like she's still sticking around, which is good. But like it's become like I said the wrong thing. I said this has become like my baby, and that kind, like, and that was absolutely the wrong thing to say, because she said to me like later on, she goes, when you say that, it's like a dagger in my heart, because when you have a baby, that is like the most important thing in your life, and and I was like, honey, it's a microphone. A microphone, you will never, a microphone will never replace you. But that being, and I'm sure it also hurt, the fact that we can't have children and we haven't had a baby yet. But, but like I said, I mean, to a certain extent, when I talk into this mic, I told her I feel a confidence that I've never felt. Even when I was doing pretty decently on up on stage, I don't like I feel so confident, behind it, and maybe and there may be people out there that that are listening. They're like, he's okay, but like I don't really care. This is for me, and exactly,
Exactly.
yeah,
You can't base your choices on others judging you.
yeah, right, exactly,
Here to be you. No, here to be you. And I think every time you make a choice like, well, you know what? This is who I am, and I'm going to go on Facebook and say, okay, well, I'm bisexual.
yeah,
Well, that's something that alters you in a good way.
yeah,
I mean, that makes you stand up straighter. That gives you the confidence to then continue to be you
yeah,
and keep going for the truth of it, because that's what you're here to do. Not
right,
to please people, but to be you.
absolutely, absolutely, and and I just it's it's just such a, and the thing I've learned too, through this whole process. I mean, not just the podcast, but the whole, you know, you know, trying to have a baby, you know, lo- this is gonna sound weird, out of nowhere, but losing my cat and getting it back. But like, for a while, for a long time, I couldn't. I was like, I was lost in the sense that like I couldn't think of, like I couldn't, because you have to have a higher power in recovery. You have to have a power that's greater than yourself, right? And the thing was, I was, for a long time, I felt like I just didn't have, I was missing something. And then, of all things, my cat goes missing. And then all these people are just coming and together and just, trying to give me advice, trying to console me, give me words of wisdom, all that stuff. And, and like, eventually we found her. And the thing is, like, and my friend said to me, would you, if you had not found your cat, would you believe in this higher power? I was like, it wasn't about finding it. It was about the fact that my higher power speaks to me through other people, and it's to a certain extent. If you, I mean, for Star Wars nuts out there, and I'm sure there are plenty of people who are on the internet right now that love Star Wars. It's kind of like the Force, it's all around us. The higher power thing. It's not, I think I was going too big with it and thinking, like, that it was this giant deity, and the thing is, it's not for me. It's just, it's everywhere, and it's the kindness of people. It's the support of people. It's the advice of people. It's the guidance, and that's how that my higher power is, that's how it comes across me. And I try not to say he is in my higher power. I usually say he, she, or it, because let's just face it, yeah, I mean, yeah, so but no, like, yeah,
It's not prescribed. It's personal.
exactly,
It's whatever that means for you.
right,
And wherever you draw that strength, and it sounds like you draw strength from love.
I do, I really do. And I just, and the thing is, things are going so well, and I've come to the realization, and I said this in a podcast, whether you have kids or not, you have a family. My wife is my family. We have a family. And whether that involves children or not, whether that's in the cards or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We found each other somehow in this world. We were meant to be together, and that's as they say. We're not in Passover. It's not Passover yet, but Dayenu. It was enough, and but yeah, no, it's just I'm so glad that that you said yes to coming on and just chit chatting with me, and like we got to do this more often.
Oh, sure. I was so delighted. Seriously, there you are. I mean, because honestly, Al, when I think about you, I always smile. And when I see you guys on Facebook, it's either, oh God, those kids are suffering, or oh God, they're beautiful, or whatever's going on. And, you're a very special person. And I think what you're doing, and I know that part of what you're doing is giving back, and that's really important. Because Friday, as we know, is
Yeah,
service. So
exactly.
when you speak your truth, um, you're touching people, and if there's somebody out there that was feeling like, oh my God, I can't tell anybody I'm bisexual or I'm whatever,
Yeah,
and there you are. It's like that's a big deal. It's
yeah,
a big deal when we show up with stuff like that.
absolutely.
So it is a very personal declaration, but it has a very positive impact on the world. So
Yeah,
thank you for walking your truth.
Yeah.
That's great, and that's a really big way to give back.
Right.
And as these podcasts are, because you don't know who's listening, you don't know who needed to hear exactly what you're saying.
Right, and it was a very curious thing. And we'll wrap up here in a second. I know you probably have places to go and people to see, and it's the weekend, but like my parents were like, like they sent my wife a message saying, "Do you think he's oversharing a little bit?" And like the thing is, I don't think I am. Like if like you said, if one thing I said that I say, whether it's about the drugs and the recovery and the like if there's one if I can stop one person from picking up a shot glass or a bottle or whatever, or if I can stop one person from like self-flagellating themselves, or hurting themselves because they can't understand who they are, or they don't, or they or no they think nobody else understands who they are, whether what what that may be, whether it's sexuality or anything. If I can get one person to say, "Huh, okay, maybe there's a different angle to this," then that's what this is all. This is what this is all about.
You're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We all carry stuff. We all have been through stuff, and you're a person who's continuing to find your way. We all are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe your parents just need to understand the service aspect of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I understand that in the best possible world, they're just being protective.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They're just being your parents, and
right.
We don't want them hurt.
Right. Sure.
But I think that merits a conversation with them, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I even said to them, I said, you know what, like this is, I was first off, I was a little bit peeved that they went to my wife instead of coming to me for personally, you know what I mean? But like but at the same time, I did say, I said, honestly, because they were partly afraid that like the adoption agency was going to hear this and like all of a sudden like nobody's going to want to give a child to this, that, the other, and I'm just like, first off, the adoption agency right off the bat, I told them I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict, and and they were fine with it. Second of all, You know, it's
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, like it's not like something I don't wear like a badge. I don't wear a star on my shoulder or anything like that. That says I'm an alcoholic addict. But that's the thing. Like, I need to speak my truth. And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you know it. And so yeah, no, I said to them, if you're afraid that I'm oversharing, first off, come to me. Second of all,
Right.
you know, anything that if that's the thing that's going to make or break whether we have a child, then we're not having a child, because I'm not gonna do a song and a dance for people, and I'm gonna keep, like I said, I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it real. And I'm not one who usually says keep it real. That's not usually in my vernacular. But in this case, yeah, I'm, like when it comes to me, it's like what you see is what you get. I mean, you know, um, but yeah, but yeah.
Well, God bless parents, right?
God
God
bless
bless
parents.
parents.
Yes, they care. They care in their own
They're
way.
from a different generation.
It's true.
They see the world through a different prism, and
Yeah.
I miss mine terribly.
Oh, I'm sure.
And did I feel completely understood by my mother? No.
No.
Did I feel completely supported by my father? Yes. I had one that saw me completely and totally got it, and that was really fortunate. I also had a brother who saw it was part of my parenting. But I mean, it's just what it is.
It is.
It's what we're here to do. But I do think it's an opportunity to, never give up on having them try to understand you.
Absolutely.
Because it's just a deeper connection, right?
Right.
You get there.
Yeah, I mean that they are who you came from. You know what I mean? That you don't get much deeper than that. I mean, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I love my parents. I mean, and like I said, I may not agree with everything that they believe in, but at that being said, like you know uh, as long as everybody's being respectful to each other, I don't really I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like if everybody's just treating each other with respect, like then that's okay. I can handle whatever is coming my way, whether it's from my parents or whatever. But
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And that's because it isn't about agreement.
Right.
I would say that, with your most intimate, our most intimate relationship, your wife, my husband,
Right.
yeah, there needs to be a core agreement there, I think, to have it work okay. But for the rest of the world, it's so much about respect.
Absolutely.
It's about, you see it that way. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I see it this way. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing right now. That's what we got to get back.
And
the country. We got to get that back.
We got to get it back. And I think, you know what? Going back to where we started, I think we're on our way.
Yeah.
We're on our way.
Yes.
Go Blue Wave.
But let's keep having it.
Absolutely. I got your number now, so you're in. You're gonna regret it. I'm just kidding.
No, I won't. I'm a text away. Okay.
Awesome. That's so cool. I thank you again for being on the show, and I hope you and your husband and your whole family have a very happy, healthy Thanksgiving and holiday season and all that stuff. And thanks for being there. And I hope you have a wonderful evening and a good Shabbos. Okay.
Thank you, Hal. Back at you, my dear. Back at you.
All right. Bye, Wendy.
Bye, honey.
Bye. And that, dear friends, is my friend Wendy Kout. Beautiful soul, just absolutely lovely person, and I am very, very fortunate. This whole episode is not to be like, hey, let's plug, who I know, and some of the people I know, have done well for themselves. But that's not what this show's about. This show is about connection, and as I hope you guys saw here, Wendy and I have a very good connection, and I'm very happy that I was able to share a little bit of that with you guys. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And yeah, as always, just take care of each other and live it one day at a time.